Welcome to the course Risk Management in Software Engineering. Myself S. Jayamurthy, Assistant Professor CSE from Sri Venkateshwara College of Engineering. Today we are going to discuss about the topic Risk Management in Software Engineering. The risk management is a very important and crucial process when we are carrying out any project or a process in a real world scenario. So, in order to consider the risk management process, the project should be carried out in an effective manner. So, first of all, we will discuss about the introduction of what is software risk. So, come to the definition and the causes. The definition of risk is equal to the potential problem or expectation of losses that may occur or may not occur, because we can't predict whether the risk should be happened or not happened. So if it is happened, how it should be overcome, and if it is not happened, it is very happy to carry out the process in a successful manner. When coming to the causes, due to lack of information, control or over time, it will causes some impact on the risk. So some key questions in risk management are: what can go wrong and what is the likelihood of risk management, and what will be the impact be, and what can we do about it. These are all the questions that we keep in mind while doing the risk management process. Why we are taking the risk management as to be an important consideration? Because these are all the key benefits to be attained for getting the risk management process as effectively. Some benefits are fewer surprises and reduced firefighting during the development, and better schedule and cost control throughout the project life cycle, and attain the higher product quality, and also increased the stakeholder confidence to attain the risk-free software development process, and it enables informed trade-offs and robust contingency planning. So when to start the process? As early as possible in the project life cycle, we have to implement the concept risk management, so that throughout the life cycle we can overcome the risk as before it should be occurred to the development role. Some best practices we need to follow is revisit the risk continuously throughout the development life cycle of a project at any phases or any module of the process or a project. Some 7 principles of risk management are: maintain a global perspective, take a forward looking view, encourage open communication, integrate risk management into process, emphasize a continuous process, develop a shared product vision, encourage teamwork. These are all the 7 principles we need to consider while taking a risk management process in any software development process. The software risk management process has been overviewed with this life cycle. This life cycle is clearly showing that it has a continuous loop over the process. The continuous loop starts with identifying the project and project analysis. Through the prioritization we can resolve the risk, and then we have to plan when the particular risk has to be occurred and how it should be overcome, and that plan and the risk should be always monitored whether it should be happened and again, and we have to provide the confirmed solution to the risk and managing the response to the risk, and we can always learn the risk process and to manage the risk management effectively, so that this life cycle will be always a feedback like system to effective process of risk management. It is, and so it should be expressed here also that risk management is a continuous process with iterative cycles of identification, analysis, planning, monitoring and learning. Each phases feed into the next, creating a comprehensive approach to manage software project uncertainty. So through this deliverable we can achieve risk register, RMM plan and dashboard. The RMM stands for risk mitigation, monitoring and management. Coming to the risk identification technique, systematic approach to find the potential risks are risk item checklist, that is a predefined list of common risk by category. Questionnaires and interviews. Through questionnaires and interview session, the structured approach with the stakeholder workshops, we can get the risk factors. Brainstorming and Delphi methods are also used to extract the risk identification process. It should be in group expertise and any anonymous consensus building. And moving to the taxonomy based risk identification, it should be an hierarchical structure of risk resources. And document and repository review, analyze, plan, code, test for risk indicator. Complementary methods are SWOT analysis, PESTEL and prototypes spikes. So coming to the SWOT, it will be an expansion of strength, weakness, opportunities and threats. They should be identified for before risk identification process, and then we will bring the effective of that particular process from the risk identification, and risk should be handled effectively. So coming to the risk identification category, it has an impact over the area of project risk, that is schedule delay, cost overruns and resource constraints. These are all the project related risk. And coming to the technical risk, that the quality issues should be an main impact of an technical risk. And the performance problem, suppose that the code should be an not provide an effective results, then it should be an definitely a performance problem due to the technical coding issues. So then technical feasibility also need to be studied for getting the effectiveness of technical solution. And coming under to the business risk, it is an depends upon market viability, strategic alignment and the sales expectations, management support and budget constraint. These are all the factors which impact to the business risks. Coming to the by predictability, known risks are identified throughout careful evaluation of project plan, business and technical environment. So the known risks are, we can predict the risk which is based on the previous experience of the project. Suppose we consider the person who is having more than few years of experience in that particular project development scenario, they have an exposure of where the risk should be occur and where the risk should not be occur. So through this we can overcome the risk. And the predictable risks are extrapolated from past project experience. So unpredictable risks can occur but extremely difficult to identify in advance. So coming to the next perspective of risk projection, the estimation with the risk table. This risk table summarizes the what kind of risk and what category of that particular risk should be, and what is the probability of that particular risk, and what the impact it should be, in ranging the scale from 1 to 4. So from risk monitoring, mitigation and management, we have evaluate the risk summary through requirement volatility, that should be in project risk, and the probability should be 0.8, and the impact from the 1 to 4 scale is 3, and it should be in 12 of risk mitigation, monitoring and management. And also the same similar category of key staff turnover, that probability should be 0.5 and the impact factor is high 4, and risk mitigation, monitoring and management is of 7. So coming to new technology immaturity, that should be coming under to the technical, the probability is 0.4 and the impact is 3, and RMMM is 15. And coming to the integration with a legacy system, that is also in coming under the category of technical risk, that probability should be 3.3 and the impact is 2, and RMMM value is ranges 23. So note that risk are sorted by probability into impact value of highlight those requiring immediate attention. So based on the impact value, we can give more priority to the factor who is affecting the project in a high level. So RMMM column points to the specific mitigation, monitoring and management plans. So accordingly we have to plan and schedule the process and give the priority to the thing to whom or which process we have to give the first priority to carry out the risk process. So coming under the risk assessment and prioritization, that should be represented as a matrix form with probability impact matrix and their probability. This particular matrix clearly shows what the risk factor should be. The risk factor should be low as indicated with this area, and medium risk should be indicated in a light orange, and high risk should be mentioned in the pink color, and critical risk should be in more dark pink. So through this we can matrices the priority of risk, and we can take steps to overcome those risks in a step by step manner. So these are all the factors we need to consider for overcoming those risks. So steps for overcoming the risks are score P and I for each risk, that is already I have discussed that scaling. So sort the risk by highest P cross I into product or by zero color zones. So based on this product value we can identify the risk effectiveness. So define a cutoff line for active management, typically all red amber risk, so that we can overcome the risk based on the priority of low, medium, high or too high. So coming to the risk exposure and impact analysis, we have a formula of RE, that is risk exposure is equal to probability and cost or consequences of expected monetary value of the project. So this is an example calculation of how the risk exposure has to be calculated. Probability can be mentioned with P is equal to 0.8, and that is an 80% of chances of risk occurring, and the cost and consequences has to be mentioned with C, that should be an 25,000 estimated impact and risk occurs in a cost value. And finally we can calculate the risk exposure by using the formula RE equal to P cross C. We can attain 20,000 of estimated cost has to be spent for risk. And coming to the risk mitigation strategy, that is mitigation meant for how to avoid or reduce the risk in a project. So in order to take a mitigation steps, these are all the factors we need to consider. By first thing is avoid change project scope or approach, and also avoid use proven technology instead of new, because already existing technology having some proven solution instead of taking a new to face a new challenges, and also to clarify the requirements earlier to avoid the risk, and then move to reduce. It will reduce the prototype and technical spikes, and conduct training and code review to reduce the mitigations of project risk, and also implement test automation to reduce the overall risk in a project risk. So coming to the transfer or share, it will establish vendor software level agreement for critical component, that is service level agreement also we can mention. Through that we can reduce the risk, and also purchase insurance for high impact risk, because whatever it may be in product we are buying in an online store or in an offline store, we always get the insurance for high value product. Like that, if a project is if your software project is developed, it has a high value of value project, definitely we need to purchase a insurance for that particular software to overcome the risk. And also outsource risk component so that we can reduce the risk. And the accept with the contingency related risk mitigation strategies include schedule buffers and reserves, and plan budget contingency funds, and also define alternate and technical approaches to reduce or avoid the process. And coming to the proactive versus reactive risk management, the proactive risk managements are earlier we have to take steps or identifying the what kind of the risk should be occurred during the project development, that should be coming under the proactive risk. Whereas on a reactive risk, it will be a firefighting scenario, because why it is a reactive in the sense, in real time, suppose we are facing any problem in our bike, or whatever it may be a problem that we face in your mobile or in laptop. After finding the risk or problem in that particular product, then only we will take a we will take a resolution to that particular problem to overcome those risks. This kind of category will be coming under reactive. When proactive, we can identify, suppose I will give you one example. For developing a project, suppose some module should be often causes a failure while developing stage itself, then we will conclude that this particular module should be have possibilities of high risk during the project should be moved to the client production stage, so that we can find that particular module has probability of occurring some error during the productivity stage, so that we can identify the early that particular project or module should be has a possible of occurring error. So that kind of an error coming under the proactive strategy, that is they have been discussed here. Early identification, analysis and RMM planning, and established triggers, thresholds and reserves, regular risk review meeting and drills, continuous monitoring and learning, and lower long-term cost and disturbance. And coming to the reactive, addresses issues only after they occur, higher disruption to project activities, increased cost and schedule slippage, limited organization learning, and the same risks tend to recur in future projects that should be overcome through this. And coming to the risk monitoring indicators and triggers, there will be always measures to maintain the risk monitor, so that we can track with the leading indicators, triggers and threshold and alerts, and risk burn down charts. Through this we can monitor the risk process and evaluate the level of indicator and what the level of risk should be that. And also moving to the effective monitoring practices, these steps should be followed. Assign specific monitoring responsibility to risk owner, document trends and patterns to improve further risk identification, update risk status in real time as new information becomes available. These are all the things that we need to consider. And coming to the risk management planning, RMM plan, we have to plan for the content like objective, scopes, roles and responsibilities while we are planning for the risk management content. And move to the risk taxonomy and scoring scales, and also risk register structure and thresholds, mitigation, contingency, playbooks and reserves, monitoring, reporting cadence and tools should be included in your plan content. And also include that integration with the project baseline and change control, because we always integrate with the project planned schedule. If we are deviating with some risk factor, again we need to cope up with the project baseline and schedule accordingly to the change control mechanism to carry out the risk management process effectively, so that we can cover our RMM plan accordingly and to bring the effective solution to the risk. So coming to the next factor of risk information sheet, that should be a risk info template. These templates should be vary depending upon the company process. So here there will be one example for how the risk information sheet should be, because whatever information that should be related to the risk, that should be maintained as some specified template in each and every software project management, that should be vary to the each and every company or the project life cycle. So it should include risk ID, title, category of, and who is the owner of that particular project, and what the description of that particular risk, and probability of risk chances that we already mentioned, that the probability of chances of risk, it should be in 0.4 or 0.8 or whatever it may be. That impact factor should be in 1 to 3, and these are all the things which already we discussed. And these are the triggers and early warning signs, that is in which we coming under the proactive risk strategy. And coming to the mitigation plans, that already discussed, that through the mitigation plan we have to overcome the risk through some set of strategies which we have discussed. And the contingency plan also we have to follow to attain the risk free process. So coming to the common risk software projects are requirement volatility, underestimation, key staff turnover, new and immature technology, external dependency, performance and security issues, and inadequate testing. These are all the factors we need to consider for improving the common software project risk, so that we can bring the best and effective software and software project. And moving to the tools and techniques involved in software risk management are, some are risk analysis technique, that should be always have a checklist and a questionnaires session to maintain how the risk should be overcome, and risk matrix should be followed, and the decision trees and analysis should be maintained throughout the project life cycle. And FMEA, that is failure mode and effect analysis, also we need to follow for risk analysis technique. And coming to Monte Carlo simulation, we can schedule and cost for the risk analysis technique to enhance the project effectively. And risk management tools covers a spreadsheet and template, Zira and Confluence risk add-ons, and MS project risk management and risk radar, and specialized software has to be used for risk management tools. And risk dashboard and heat maps also describes our risk. That is, in the overall description of this heat map and the dashboard, we can identify the in a pictorial representation of how the project should be in risk and how it should be rectified in a forthcoming module or a project. So coming to the best practices we need to follow for effective effective project management to reduce the risk, we have to maintain a living risk register, focus on top risk, which we already discussed, because based on the review and topping scales of risk, we have to prioritize those risks and overcome the risk who is having highest priority, and assign a clear owners to the risk and to overcome it. Because suppose the risk is coming under the technical factors, it should be assigned to the particular technical process who is developed that particular code, and that person should be accountable for that particular technical related owner, problem. So similarly, assign the owner to the particular based on the risk which should be occurred, and calibrate the scoring, and based on the historical data we can create the consistent and reliable risk rating. So encourage open reporting and capture lesson learned. So encourage open reporting, discuss about where identifying risk is viewed as a positive contribution, not pessimisms. So captured risk are to overcome and analyze the update template and improve the future project, so that we can bring the effectiveness in an upcoming project to avoid the risk. Finally, coming to the conclusion of risk management, we have concentrate on be proactive, always need to learn, and where to continuous learn, and where to get the risk and how it should be integrated effectively to bring the software as risk free, and also collaborate with the stakeholder, so that always an team communication will improve the risk free software. And these are all the key reminders that we need to consider: that identifying earlier, quantify impact, prioritize by the risk, and plan mitigations and contingency should be followed, and monitor triggers, and to learn and improve the continuous feedback manner, so that we can get the exposure of what are all the risk in our process coming under the risk management. We can build the, we can bring the effective project management for handling all these key reminders in our project life cycle, to bring the quality project as a error free or risk free project.